Here we go. Seeing people join.
They can't see me, can they?
They can, but I can.
They can't hear us, can they?
They can, indeed.
Oh
Mutants
Maybe
and
over the
Masterminds.
music.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's so loud. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the stream. Our little warm up. AJ Real, good to see you, my friend.
I feel like the existence of AJ Real implies the existence of AJ fictional somewhere.
That I never thought about that. I think we need to write some characters up. Stat 'em up.
Nemesis.
The AJ not so real. Game over, man. Game over. Well, we don't have to do this all day. I mean, we could. It's kind of fun.
Right?
no! Absolutely could.
I don't want to spoil Hawkeye for anybody, but I could do this all day. It's been stuck in my head since last Wednesday.
Still haven't seen it.
Right? Every Broadway show needs a catchy
His
tune.
name, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. He kind of donked that roll up for me.
Yeah.
Kind of did. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mutants and Masterminds Monday. I'm your disembodied pal, Troy, and today of all days, I get to spend time with these three lovely human beings. We've got Crystal Frasier,
Hi.
Steve Kenson,
Hey, everybody.
and Alex Thompson. Alex Thomas.
Alex Thomas.
Yeah, I called you
Thomas.
Alex Thompson.
It's like we got
not
a new
Thomas.
Alex.
Yeah,
Son of Tom.
exactly. Since we're just now getting to know each other, how was your weekend? How was everybody's thanks?
It was good. It was good. My mom has been off living her own Nicholas Sparks novel, so I will have Thanksgiving this Thursday instead of last Thursday.
I see. Very nice. Foxfire
She
says,
is,
hey.
She started dating her first ever boyfriend from 36 years ago. Again.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Oh.
They reconnected by writing letters to each other for a year and a half,
Aww.
starting a year and a half ago or so.
That is a slow burn romance.
That's
Mhm.
very
Yeah,
sweet.
right?
Yeah.
Calvin
She's
B,
living her
good to
best
see
life.
you. Raina says, wave.
Wave indeed.
Wave indeed. So, today is the greatest day because, we're talking cyberpunk stuff, and you want to know why?
Hmm.
It's
'Cause it's Cyber Monday?
That's exactly why, Steve. You knew.
We want to extol
We're
the
incredibly
virtues of
literal.
late-stage capitalism.
That's right. How
Right.
much
What-
money
what-
can we extract from the lower tiers
What
of
could
our
be more
economic-
cyberpunk?
Truth. Yeah. And so
in honor of Cyber Monday, I did order new parts for my 3D printer.
nice. I
Heck
love a
yes.
3D printer. What do you print? What are you?
Mostly game stuff, terrain, but sometimes tools like I've got this great center finder because I do a lot of woodworking and fine home repairs where I need to find the center of an object. So I've got this nice parallelogram based center finder for studs and things like that.
Very cool. I love it. Jim Street says Mutants and Cyberpunks 4E. Easy there. That's awesome.
Cyberpunk's up to 60 now.
Yeah, right?
Exactly, right? So we have, it's a packed show, but we've also got a few other things to talk about. We'll talk about them later. I feel like we should just dive into the cyberpunk stuff, but we have a big sale going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
We
that
do.
is, we have the...
It keeps getting bigger, in fact.
It does indeed. It just grows and grows and grows. And right now, so you can get 40% off your PDFs, any of them.
Mhm.
You don't go to someone else's store and ask, but our store, get our products.
Right.
I mean,
we
you can
can't
ask.
make that kind of offer.
That's true. You can ask. But I don't think you even want their PDFs, depending on where you go. I don't know. But but ours are pretty awesome, and we're going to be referencing some material that will be included in that sale today. But it's really everything. So go in and check it out. In addition to our print discount of 30% off that we're extending up until the 1st of December. What? What? When did that happen?
That's way past Monday.
Yeah, that's like Cyber Week.
It is.
Or Cyber Half Week.
It is.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
Cyber
Hey
gestational period.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna have a child, a cyber baby, and but you know the other thing that we're doing, I'm gonna give everyone a little amuse bouche, if you will. That's French for smell, I think.
That's
Not that disembodied.
We are doing an amazing thing. It is Christmas in December.
oh my god.
Do you remember?
This has gone too far.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we dared do it. We bringing back.
It's so
Christmas.
ironic. It come all the way back around.
That's right. Peak irony, and we're gonna have daily specials. People, everyone on the team has picked something that they love, a line, sort of a book, and there'll be a discount there. And we're also giving out freebies to every single day. We'll give out a little freebie. I mean, they're not going to be, it's not anything massive, just made with a lot of love and care. You have to act like you like it when you open it. Fun of grandma. But we are. I'm the grandma. So we got a lot of that stuff planned. Of course, we got some Patreon stuff that we'll talk about later. But I love the genre of cyberpunk. I love it. It is just, to me, like it's got so many ways to come about it and opportunities to play. And in this concept, like I just really feel like we've hit the nail on the head for the topic of the day. And then if you're listening, you got questions about how to stage or something in particular that piques your interest, give us a question and we will, we'll see what we feel about it and maybe we'll answer it.
So I mean, there's plenty of options out there for playing cyberpunk games. Mutants and Masterminds is actually really flexible and well suited for it because you can build the exact level of technology or powers or what have you that you want in your game. So you can do more of a like street level PL 6 or 7, hard living cyberpunk game where you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're, under serious threat from the cops and corporate security forces. But at the other end of that, you can play a Batman Beyond style superheroes in cyberpunk's setting where people have powers. You're fighting technological supervillains, and you're using the trappings of cyberpunk to, say, paint a target on a lot of modern concerns or sort of extrapolate where you think the world might be going with unchecked superpowers.
Yeah, you could play Shadowrun with a rule system that doesn't hate you.
Oh. It's not that the system hates you. It's just that Steve hates you.
Hey, Apu brings up something we were talking about earlier. The Matrix being a perfect example of a superhero cyberpunk story. Definitely some source material, but it's got. I love it. It's just kind of a course.
Well, you could definitely do a really interesting, sort of cyberpunk-esque story if you do a scenario where your superhero characters are told that their entire reality is just a virtual reality they're trapped in, and that they're not really superheroes, but they're just brains in vats somewhere, imagining that they're actually superheroes.
I actually had a great campaign for a while that started as a tongue-in-cheek Hero High game. And it turned out within a couple of sessions, they kept noticing things were wrong and the same scenarios kept playing out and discovered they were supervillains stuck in a Mr. Fantastic's psychological experiment, or supervillains rather.
In order to reform them?
Yeah, trying to reform them by giving them happier childhoods where they had responsibility and a sense of duty.
That is why Reed Richards is in the Illuminati.
Right, exactly.
Right.
hate that guy.
Right.
Oh, do you really? I
Well,
mean, I've met people who really can't stand him, like with a passion.
well,
But
there are lots of people who don't like the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
don't I know it?
Anyway, so do we want to talk about the major tropes of cyberpunk and how you use those as a GM or as a player trying to build a character?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So, yeah. I've been talking a lot. Steve, Alex, do you want to? Steve, you are our resident expert on cyberpunk, being a Shadowrun
Well,
creator.
I mean, certainly one of the things about cyberpunk that plays and can play a lot into a Mutants and Mastermind style game is the whole notion of body modification. Of the notion that your body is your canvas to do with as you will in a cyberpunk reality where you can add cybernetics, you can tinker with your genetics, you can add on biological modifications. And so, that can lead to all kinds of superpowers or abilities, intentional or otherwise. Especially when you start getting into, really, sort of experimental, cutting edge, perhaps not very regulated, body mods that, can lead to all kinds of interesting effects. That can be the basis for a whole, campaign. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Evil corporations.
Yep. A lot of the original cyberpunk genre grew out of Reaganomics and the increasing spread between the haves and the have-nots, and sort of pushed that forward 40 years to what kind of terrible world will we have where 90% of the wealth is controlled by less than 100 people.
That's so unrealistic.
Yeah, that would never happen.
No, it's just one.
Yeah, a world where the rich don't answer to any law, or a world where the poor are desperate to survive but still have access to ridiculously advanced consumer-grade electronics.
That's true, right? They will run a gauntlet
what would that
against
world
each
be
other.
like?
Yeah, what would that be like? I just imagine them running a gauntlet against each other to see how fast they can serve their corporate masters, and if they don't go fast enough, out the door they go.
Yeah, a world where you have no real job security, and where everything about your status as a human being, from your health to your home to who you interact with, is dependent on who your employer is.
Well, look at this. We are really cheering the crowd up right now.
I don't know if I want to talk about cyberpunk anymore.
Everybody's real happy.
Yeah, William Gibson was trying to write a warning, not a how-to guide.
Right.
Although I will say Eating the Rich is one of the best fantasies of the cyberpunk genre. It resonates, I think, a lot with people these days.
Yeah, one of the things I've tried to explain to people in the past is cyberpunk is inherently an optimistic genre because it paints a world where all of the inequalities and excesses of the modern day are turned up to 11. But it revolves around stories where people are finding their communities and undermining these oppressive systems. So your big... I mean, that's the whole concept of punk, right? Finding people you click with and, tearing down an unjust system and trying to make do in the cracks of society.
I wanted to share this real fast. Good news is that we are not in a cyberpunk. We may be getting there, but Jacob reminds us that, if we were cyberpunk, hospital visits would be really cheap, and they're super expensive. So that's Thank you, Jacob, for bringing us back to Earth.
That's fair.
That's why we were saying it's an optimistic genre.
That's right.
As opposed to reality, which is not super optimistic. But it's up to us to find that sort of positivity and make the change that we want to see in the world, I think.
Agreed. And Crystal, I it's very fascinating to me. I think you just sort of added some punctuation to my thoughts on just kind of the punk culture in general, but it really is very familial. It's very, DIY, your own supports, and kind of build your own infrastructure around you. I love that.
Yeah. We talk a little bit more about the conventions of cyberpunk in the Time Traveler's Codex, where we even have a little guide in the back here.
notion of it as a setting.
There are so many time periods covered in this book. Wow.
Yeah.
So our cyber revolution section, where we, talk about the world of next Tuesday, basically, where, technologies aren't necessarily Star Trek magic, but they're definitely a natural growth of what we have today and where it feels like things are headed.
Oh, Raina's asked a really, really good question. What are some good immersion tools or techniques for bringing cyberpunk to your table? I love this.
I mean, I feel like synthesizers, wraparound shades.
Yeah, I was gonna say music is definitely a great.
A keytar, you need a keytar for sure.
Yeah, I definitely recommend you pick what kind of genre of cyberpunk you want to run with, and then make a little playlist of TV shows or movies, and ask your players to all pick up on them or watch them rather.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like,
if you're go ahead, Crystal. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're going for more of a hard tech sci-fi, have everybody watch Johnny Mnemonic and, see that world where people are scrappy and there's no superpowers, but cyber tech can make you, much more powerful than the average human being with a gun.
Or Gem and the Holograms.
Or, Gem and the Holograms, where you've got advanced music technology and advanced AI, or Ghost in the Shell, Steve was saying earlier, as a world where cybernetic augmentation, puts you in a new category as, not only as far as human rights, but also in terms of power level.
Right. Absolutely. And, with mobile devices and the like now, cyberpunk is a great occasion to let your players text each other at the table, and communicate on their phones and their tablets, and use those as a side.
Brilliant.
That's so great.
Especially if you have one of those fancy game spaces where you can have a TV set up on the wall, and you can have like the group chat or whatever live streamed on the TV for people to keep track of.
And absolutely, I would absolutely look for a good soundtrack for your cyberpunk game, even if it's just playing softly in the background.
Yeah, I love that. That is really great.
Or if you have those, there's some people who have dimmer switches that have different color lights. That also helps set the mood too. If you have a game space that's fancy like that, or if you're a Twitch streamer.
If you want to get some of those LED ropes, you can buy them on I don't remember what it's called, EDM wire, I think.
Yes, you can. Yeah, that's exactly it.
If you want to use that to line your dice tray, or if you've really got money to burn, line your table or the edge of the room, or make a couple of neon signs for your game room. That's a little outside my price range, but
wrap one of your limbs in aluminum foil.
I would definitely offer a bonus hero point or two at character creation for anybody who comes to the first session, in a leather jacket or with some, silver body paint.
Or just one silver arm. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
But so we've talked a little bit about like cyberpunk as a genre. Do we want to talk about how it applies, like how you use Mutants and Masterminds for it?
Yeah.
So first of all, again, we've got some great examples in the Time Traveler's Codex of existing, or of stat blocks, if you want to use those as sort of your benchmarks, like your cyber Ronin, your street Ronin, if you will, your samurai of this strange cyberpunk future, built at PL7 with some, high-end military cybernetics. I mean, if you're doing a traditional cyberpunk game, you want to pick up a gadget guide. We have the PDFs of them over
Which
on
will be
the
included in our
website.
PDF sale.
Indeed.
Right.
In fact, this is a great excuse to use that 40% discount.
Absolutely.
If I can find, where did I put? There we go. So we have a PDF for cybertech specifically, as a quick and easy guide for cyberpunk technology in your Mutants and Masterminds game. I mean, this is because it's not necessarily a super powered game. It's a good idea to talk about different niches different players want to fill with their characters, so that you don't fall into a scenario where everybody makes a street samurai who's also a hacker, who's also a spy, who's also the face.
Right.
I think Cyberpunk needs a really good session 0. Not just for character creation, but also because there's a lot of sensitive subjects that can come up that relate to the real world in this kind of story. So you want to make sure these are the things I'm going to talk about. I hope everybody's okay with that. These are the tools if you're not okay with that at the table.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's something. This is interesting. I like the. Okay, it's also interesting that we are more approaching a genre punk future than a cyberpunk, as our genetic technology is better than our cybernetic tech. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
designer babies are coming.
No, they're here.
Well, and Gadget Guides fortunately offers an entire chapter on biotechnology as well as cyber technology. If you want to take that route or combine them, for different kinds of body modifications.
I mean, with 40% off, you're basically getting them 2 for 1. So grab to your heart's delight.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Also have an excellent guide to firearms and how to build, special custom firearms that
a lot of
you
guns.
want.
Yeah, Steve, you mentioned that earlier when we were kind of just sort of riffing on the show before we started. Yeah, I mean, cyberpunk does depend heavily on firearms.
Yeah, there tends to be a pretty violent genre by its nature.
But it also tends to have a lot of...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it tends to give you a lot of options with your violence. One of the key features tends to be like custom ammunition. So
yes, indeed.
Here's a good. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Say, if you want armor-piercing ammunition, then you just apply penetrating onto your existing gun. If you want non-lethal ammunition, then that's usually just a 1 point extra to change up, whether the damage is lethal or non-lethal.
Yeah, and I think you have a lot of chances to use a lot of rules that don't come up very often because Cyberpunk is usually a lower power level game setting. So you're going to be looking at things like cover, which doesn't come up super often in a regular superhero game. Or you can look at doing the optional lethal rules if you want to emphasize that sort of dirty, gritty cyberpunkness.
Which again, you can pick up in the Time Traveler's Codex. The Iron Age section in here talks a lot about our lethality rules.
Nice. So here's a great question. Hey, Alex, your cord is tapping on your mic again.
Oh.
No problemo.
That's the hamsters.
Yeah, the hamsters they're really working hard today. That's the extent of our cyberpunk. Let's see. Josie, any tips for when one player is Netrunner and the other folks are just sort of like, I'm having fun.
I mean, that depends on how you build your Netrunner concept for Mutants and Masterminds. If you're just building it as somebody who's basically got, special mind reading powers related to machines and mind control powers related to machines, just focus on the effects they can manifest rather than, it's dimensional travel, but you leave your body behind. And then if you succeed at these skill checks, then you can do this thing. And in the case of Mutants and Masterminds, where everything's very effect based, build what your Netrunner does or your hacking array, like nullifying electronics, move object limited to machines, mind reading limited to machines.
Interesting.
As an array, and then each round they can just describe what they're seeing in the matrix.
So would the array also apply to this idea of having a cyberpunk setting where injections give you your superpowers? I mean, I could see you throughout, even in one encounter, changing up your injections and.
You could. I mean, cyberpunk does tend to be about using technology to adapt to whatever's going on. So one where your superpowers are just disposable syringes, kind of like the tonics from the
and I think
I love this too. Lockpick fingers. I need that. I need lockpick.
We have that in Gadget Guides.
Oh, for real?
Matter of fact.
That's so great.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Has.
I mean, and I think when we're talking about hacker characters, a lot of it for Cyberpunk is also setting up sort of Overwatch or ride-along scenarios where the hacker is going, if not like physically going with the rest of the team, is doing virtual Overwatch for them, and is the one who is like, okay, team, you're at the door. Give me a second. I'm going to hack the computer and unlock the doors for you. I'm going to hack the security system so that you can get through this hallway. And so that they're still doing things in tandem with the rest of the group, even if they're not like physically in person there.
Yeah, that character becomes the party's lair actions because technology is so ubiquitous.
Pretty much, yeah.
But they also become vulnerable to things like black ice and rival hackers.
Yep. Right.
And they're on their own when dealing with those. You don't have your backup.
I like Hanover Fist's advice here. That's like when splitting the party, make sure you build both paths out and make sure they can run simultaneously. Like have one party, you have to fake like you're at dishwashers at a restaurant, and you can send them into your kitchen, and then you have to you work at a laundromat and like do your laundry down. I think that's brilliant. It's so fun, so futuristic.
Yeah.
But yeah, while we're talking about hacking. One big rules consideration you probably want to take in for Cyberpunk, because technology is so ubiquitous, is breaking up the technology skill into probably 3 specific skills, like security for overcoming, locks, digital locks, lock picking, etc. Mechanics for fixing your devices, and then computers for hacking and because it's such a ubiquitous skill.
This is an interesting point. Cyberpunk games often deal with gear a lot. As a GM, I always find it a fuzzy line between whether something should be a device or equipment. What do you think?
I usually handle this. Equipment is something you could buy on a shelf. Device is something that you buy that is unique and specifically customized to your character. That's how I handle it myself.
So basically, if you're buying something as equipment, you're telling the GM, NPCs have this too.
Yeah. And this
and that can change depending on how.
Yeah,
I was just
equipment
say,
is stuff that you can easily lose.
Yeah. And the level of what is equipment, the level of this doesn't usually happen to us.
No, it really doesn't.
Technology, that's why.
Keep on keeping on. You can do it.
But equipment, the level of what is considered equipment can change based on how scientifically advanced your setting is.
Yeah.
So, like in a Star Wars setting, a blaster rifle would be equipment, but in a setting where there's not a lot of laser weapons, that would be a device.
Gotcha. Hey, real quick, I just want to interject and say hello, David Bodie. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. David was in our actual play with Alex a bit back, and we had so much fun. Just an absolute blast.
Bodie played Lady Liberty and did an awesome job.
Fantastic job.
And
really.
You were saying, Steve?
Oh, I was just saying that, in terms of the divide between devices and equipment, generally in Cyberpunk, anything that is an implant or a body mod or things like that is basically going to be a device, of some kind. It's probably not even a device. It's basically just a power you're paying points for, because, it's not something you're easily going to lose, one hopes.
Generally, device is something, you're saying specifically is more relevant to your character. Whereas equipment is pretty disposable. It's something that can easily get taken away, get destroyed.
Here's a good question about arrays. Since we're discussing the gadget guide and arrays, was 3rd edition version of wide array meant to work with both dynamic and non-dynamic slots?
It could. It's a little less useful with non-dynamic slots.
Yeah, nice. There's not really a lot of point in putting extra points into your array if you can still only use one power at a time.
Right.
Glad you like it, Veronica.
Yeah, I'm glad that was helpful.
Yeah, AJ, we do need a talking stick. If you could help us out, we need the talking laser.
Yeah, the problem is trying to pass it between the windows.
That's true, right? You
right.
End up cutting things up, and it's just a disaster. Let's see. Oh yeah, I gotta tell you, Apuk brings up a very funny moment. As y'all know, we did our with our friends at the RPG Alliance convention. Apuk was playing a kind of character. He was dataless, but he was sort of like I kind of liken it to a vampire Mario from Mario Brothers, like it's a me. Yeah, it was just it was so good. It was so fun. and there was a lot of crunching and smooshing and crunching and smooshing, and I also learned how to pronounce David Bodie's name. You're welcome, David. Thanks for keeping me on track. But yeah. So I wanted to shout out to those folks. That was a lot of fun. Alex did a great job, and the whole convention was just a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, who joined us, by the way, at the Mutants and Masterminds Sunday we did at the RPGA convention.
Yeah, it was weird. It definitely threw my week off, but it was fun.
Right.
Here's a question. Advice for SR. What's SR?
Shadowrun.
Thank you. Make it a mini adventure with minions, traps, and BBEG to get past, to hack the CPU. Very, Shadowrun approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good.
The downside with that approach is that it's building one adventure for a single PC that you sort of run while everybody else is standing around.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be the sort of thing where you have your other players run, the opponents or assistant programs or other hacker NPCs who are, coming along with your hacker character. But when you're trying to keep everyone sort of together, then it's better to focus on like what the effects of your hacking are. Or if you're going to do the one-off hacking adventures, that's better, something done, away from main group time. A one-on-one adventure you do, via Zoom, ideally.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the good thing about Mutants and Masterminds is that you could make a solo hacking thing just a single skill check, or even just a simple skill challenge that you can do quickly and say, okay, make your computer skill check. Yes, you hack into the security system and get the information that you need. Here's what you find out.
And then
without having to make it a thing.
And a big plot point in a lot of Shadowrun adventures and novels is that all the information you need is in an air-gapped system, something that has no connections to the outside world. So you either need to get your hacker inside the building or get your team inside the building with a little USB dongle.
Yep, absolutely.
In this space, I'm wondering, how could you create an opportunity to utilize minions, or what kind of minions could you have, or
Well, you would still have all kinds of minions as far as cyberpunk goes. I mean, because like we said, the genre is often violent and life is often cheap. So characters can still come up against, gang members or, organized crime toughs or,
guards are really
even
common.
Corporate
guards,
security.
right. Yeah, security
Robots.
Guards are poor guys.
Soldiers are often guards, or guards are usually use soldier stat blocks. The drone stat block from the robot section.
Yeah, thinking of like you were saying, bringing the hacker into the building while Hacker Man is doing their thing. Everybody else could be defending that person from guards that are trying to enter the room, or disabling other security systems that are trying to prevent the lockout. It could be a whole scene with that person.
Fun.
At the computer.
There's you can easily do you have to hold this room for the next minute while the hacker does their thing.
Interesting. Would you create a kind of puzzle out of that experience, or is that too much?
It would depend for me based on if that's the climax of the adventure. If it is, I might try to come up with something, especially at a convention game. If I'm in person, I might hand something to the hacker person and say, hey, solve this puzzle box or whatever, while everybody else is trying to defend you.
I like that. Just throw a bunch of marbles. Pick up these marbles.
We're playing jacks.
Right.
I mean, from a game perspective, that's a good opportunity to run a combat encounter and a challenge simultaneously. Especially if they're run on round by round actions. So it's, can you finish this skill challenge, in time while the other characters are, fighting to hold off the guards.
A question for you three. What is the most so you really, as a GM, you are working simultaneously with all the people, but they're more or less rambunctious given where they're at, what is the most you have done? Like, how many of these sort of things you've got someone doing a puzzle and someone's, doing charades and another person's trying to put on a robot suit. I mean, like all of what is the most that you've you've seen, or I mean, do you have something you can recall, or are you just really good at making sure that people are not that you're not overwhelmed as the GM?
It depends on how you do it. I mean, I've done adventures where the player characters were all in separate virtual reality simulations.
Oh,
That were, they were different imaginary scenarios, and I was switching between from each one. But we were doing it such that it was like everybody was still acting in turns, like we would in a combat when everybody was together. It's just the characters weren't all together. So we were still taking turns like we normally do around the table, but it was different scenarios that were happening all at the same time.
Yeah, had a similar game where the players basically quantum leaped into their alternate dimensional counterparts who were not all in a group, and they were running around trying to figure out where each other were and escape guards. And
yeah, I've done that before, where I've set up 2 mats basically with different characters on them and run the fights at the same time, but with one big initiative order. I've also handed a puzzle box to a player before that had my wife made it. It was a treasure chest basically, and they had to figure out the dials on top for like what symbol was for which one, and each of them had a different riddle that they had to solve in relation to that. So all of them are working together on different riddles together to try and get the solutions for the box.
And they're like, pleasure or pain, right, Squire? I get it. I get your joke. I see you.
What's in the box?
Such sights to show you.
Go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, I was just going to say, so yeah, going in, understand, what you want your players to be doing and what kind of powers they should have. Like if you want a game where everybody's got, cybernetic powers, and that's really the only power source except for, rare villains, then, make sure people know that up front. Let people know what to expect from your game so they know what kind of players or what kind of characters they can build to be useful. So if you want a hacker in your game, make sure, you tell your players.
A hacker would be very useful.
If you want a perfect genetic Adonis who's part of a super soldier program, make sure you tell people, hey, there was a super soldier program with genetic engineering.
Yeah, cyberpunk horror show.
Yeah. Although that said, I will say that hackers make great non-player character like allies and characters for the GM to run if they're doing Overwatch and are the voice in the character's ears.
It's a great way for you as the GM to tell them what's going on in the rest of the villain hideout or whatever.
How do you get past or will you throw wrenches in a plan that's like, you're not going to make a phone call to get out of this, like you're not going to just beam somebody into this space, or like, or do you do a lot of that? With technology, I can just imagine creativity just really cutting the adventure short. Do you go about thwarting, or do you just kind of shift your plans behind the scenes?
I'm a big fan of yes and. So like if a player presents something that is really clever, I'll be like, okay, I don't want to take that away from you. That's a good idea. I should have thought of that. And I'll come up with a way for it to work. And I'll make them think it was my idea the whole time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Don't let it derail the whole adventure, but definitely make them feel like they've sidestepped some big dangerous part of the adventure by doing this.
I like that because it is sort of a fun way that they want. I mean, there's something fun about getting one over on the GM. Like if I love that.
Sure.
I love it too as the GM. I'm like, okay, good for me.
That's right. I like that.
Definitely, you outwitted me and all of the thought I put into this.
Right.
My adventure notes were 3 bullet points.
Right.
So great.
But well done.
Does sexy thing. I don't know what else.
So Rena asked a good question. So isn't cyberpunk known for being quite deadly, and how do you mesh that with mutants and masterminds?
Well, I mean, we talk about the lethality rules a little bit in the Game Master's Guide and the Time Traveler's Codex, where, you differentiate between killing damage and stun damage. And, basically, given the genre conventions, you don't necessarily, take away experience or hero points or whatever for killing in a cyberpunk game, because like Raina said, it's a very deadly genre.
Right. Indeed.
But make it clear if you're playing cyberpunk or superheroes with a cyberpunk aesthetic, because Batman Beyond doesn't go around just killing every guard he comes across.
Right. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, and it's worth noting that cyberpunk is often a really deadly genre to people other than the heroes.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the heroes will just mow through minions and they will all die. But the heroes often, you don't have a lot of cyberpunk stories where a lot of the main characters die.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be that much more lethal for them.
Yeah. Generally, for player characters, you die as a one step beyond being incapacitated or by deliberate NPC action. So more often than not, you'll be captured to be interrogated or thrown into jail or
Or
something else where you escape.
Yeah. Someone will abduct you to steal your fancy biotech implants.
Ooh, yeah.
Right.
I like that. I also like the notion of, it's a brutal battle. You're up to your eyes in it. And then when you're stricken down, you wake up and you've got a visor on and you were in virtual reality the whole time. I want to shout out to Veronica. This is great. Veronica says, another reason I love M&M as a GM is I'm really into world building and I like thinking up power sources and how things work. Yeah. I love that.
Then let me tell you, Mutants and Masterminds is a fun game for you. Because you can do a lot of that.
Okay, I see this. Yeah, sorry. In a hero game, the law has a major effect on their actions too. I could teleport a villain. I can teleport a villain's heart out of their chest, but then I'd be a murderer. Yeah.
And that also comes down to, I mean, anything you use to kill somebody in a campaign. But I mean, there aren't a lot of save or die effects in Mutants and Masterminds by design, because you want things to be sort of a scaled challenge.
Right. And ideally, most heroes in Mutants and Masterminds are not killing things because it would be wrong and not because they're afraid of getting caught, but, depends on the character.
I've heard some stories, yeah.
You never know which villain is going to be the next, Emma Frost or Venom, who becomes a hero eventually.
Right.
Or Hawkeye or
Black Widow, for that matter.
Or Black Widow. Or there's a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of Marvel characters.
Yeah. A lot of Marvel characters are ex-villains.
Guardian, kind of, in DC.
Scarlet Witch.
Quicksilver.
Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah.
So the Swordsman.
But bad choice, because he went back to being a villain.
Yeah, he kind of, it didn't stick.
No.
Oh, this is interesting. So in the Freedomverse, we always have to warn new players, do not teleport people into the sky. They fall, land, and die. You go to prison.
They still have not found a cure for sidewalk allergies in the Freedomverse, I see.
They really have not.
Not yet.
It's deadly. It's deadly.
We'll thaw you just as soon as we find a cure for 37 stab wounds in the back.
Right. I can't believe it's 2:45 already. I mean,
Right.
Let's wrap this this part up, and we can do some other stuff. But what are the missing components to the cyberpunk aesthetic?
Yeah, we should probably talk about cyberpunk villains and where you can find them, because we have some great options.
Indeed.
In the Game Master's Guide, you've got the robot, which is a very high powered but a very common opponent in cyberpunk settings. Your Master of Disguise and your Psychopath are both really common villain archetypes. The Assassin. I would argue that a lot of the Jobbers are very good candidates for niche tech-based, assassins or hired guns.
Yep. Agreed. The crime boss obviously is usually a big cyberpunk villain of one kind or another. And all of the various sort of gang and criminal archetypes make great minions and, sort of street criminals and the like.
Kind of by design, the crime boss also makes a good corrupt CEO, which is another one of your quintessential cyberpunk villains. And then in other published pieces, we're where's my threat report? But yeah,
we've got Cyber Tribe.
I was going to say, we have Cyber Tribe in... Were they Threat Report or Rogues Gallery?
Their Threat Report.
Yeah, I think the Threat Report.
And then we've got villains like Selfie, who's a self-aware robot with basically programmed by Twitter.
Oh no!
IGT, who is technically an alien killer robot, but you could just as easily repurpose them into a government project. To design.
Could be very sort of Zeta Project, kind of rogue robot.
Except, this is a murderous Zeta Project.
Yeah,
right.
I love Zeta Project. Right. That's such a good show.
Oh yeah, very underappreciated show, I think.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Zeta Project, it's a great cyberpunk superhero show that's a little lower power level than Batman Beyond. So
Indeed.
100% recommend it. I have no idea where you can stream it or even if it exists anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably on HBO Max, I would think.
All I know is
if anywhere, probably.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that we had a villain as well that we kind of made. I believe it was called Chat. It was just Chat. I'm trying to find
the Chat is not a villain.
The Chat is misunderstood.
They're misunderstood. Right. They are a uni-mind of minds, if I recall correctly, that fell prey to the great what was it? The squishening. What's it called?
I thought it was crunching.
The crunching and the No, it was the silvering. What was it?
You talking about the Silver Storm? Yes.
Yeah, that was it. The Silver Storm. They got. Sorry, because I was like, I work on this stuff, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Troy's off his medication again. I'm on his medication.
Yeah. I'm on 2 slices of cheesecake, and I got it. I know. It's my last. You'll be happy to know.
You know what he's
my
like
last
when he
2.
gets some cheesecake in him.
That's right. But yeah, so all the chat can relish in the fact that they too are a villain.
Yeah, Bodhi's over there talking about Cyber Squatch.
Yeah, did you make a Cyber Squatch for this adventure?
I didn't. I should have. Shoot.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't really think about it as a series. I mean, I thought about a series of condiments. I did release Gravy Squatch as a Thanksgiving thank you to everybody on the Patreon.
Yeah, and, Gravy Squatch is not allowed in the Cyberpunk universe.
No, it's so messy. Yeah,
the corporation would capture him.
Yep. Then the heroes would investigate where this, popular new gravy is coming from.
Oh,
they're harnessing it straight from the source. Squatch on a hamster wheel.
So tired.
So I was looking at Rogues Gallery, and I think that Ton would also be another great cyberpunk villain.
Ton would be a great cyberpunk villain. Our entertainment-focused AI who has hologram powers and access to cybernetic augmentations.
Right. You want to do a sort of Running Man, style game, where, or Hunger Games, run by Ton,
I want to see a corporate mascot that gains sentience and gets away from the corporation to help lead the rebellion.
Basically Ton.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
I like it. I'm fetching something from the Facebook's a special delivery, I've been told, but
Burger King is here to get us.
The Collective from Freedom City is technically sentient cockroaches, but converts very easily to a sentient nanite swarm. If you want to use nanotech as a potential threat in your campaign.
Stan, this. Is
Stan.
Stanley. It's amazing. Stanford.
Stanford, Yale. You get down here right now.
This is Stanford, Yale.
Stan ! Brown. What have you done?
I like this. The gravy. It's made from squatch. Just like Grandma used to make.
Yep. Soylent
Squatch. We have been doing this for a minute, haven't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
But I gotta show you this. This is just, Stan, you have done something.
I'm
definitely
afraid.
say, like, make sure your benefits are spelled out as a GM. Like, what can you do with the benefit advantage? Like, are you basically a non-citizen unless you take benefit citizenship, or, benefit corporate employee can get you access that you otherwise wouldn't have to, not even just secrets, but like a place to live and good food.
Ooh, good one.
And like Crystal was talking about differentiating skills, cyberpunk might be one of those genres where you want to differentiate things like the connected and contacts, advantages, well-informed, things like that, to be specific to certain arenas. So that you're connected to like the corporations or to the criminal underworld or
hackers or tech nerds or the underground.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it. All right, friends. Chefs. What's that? Mighty Chefs?
No, I said body shops.
Body shops. Gotcha.
For cars or cybernetic implants.
Right. Although a cyberpunk version of Iron Chef would have some interesting potential.
I think so. I think it really would. Speaking of interesting potential, Stan has he's done us a thing. Let's see. Ready?
Do we want to call it a favor?
What is even happening?
We're so villainous.
So good. It's Stan. I'm telling you, my friend.
We are definitely cyberpunk opponents.
Oh, certainly.
Right.
Steve is jacked.
I'm so angry.
You know,
I know, right?
you really look actually kind of more annoyed. I mean, which is, but and you've really captured us. I'm 100% that block right there.
It's amazing because that's exactly what Troy looks like.
It's uncanny. You even got his de-resolute or de-res hair.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, and also just my mouth is always in that position, and it's something. Wow, that is. Thank you, my friend. That is something. I'm gonna get that as a tattoo.
Oh no.
little tramp stamp. So listen, it's 2:54. I cannot believe that we have eaten up this whole entire show with such good information and such fun and laughs and jokes and also real info. So
hopefully,
I think that everybody really liked that, Stan. That is so great.
Troy, I need you to send that to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We got to get that. We should all just get ourselves tattooed on ourselves. And then when we get together, we form, whatever this is.
Team tattoo at the summit.
That's right. Team tattoo at the summit. I love that. Thank you so much, Stan. That is just a hoot. So we just got a couple minutes left. Anything else we want to sort of tie up as we wrap on this episode?
Oh, geez. We've covered a lot of it. I mean, again, check out the 40% off sale on PDFs, because you can get a lot of things like the gadget guides and the power profiles, which aren't in print right now, for basically 2 for 1.
Right. Time Traveler's
off.
Codex, super useful for Cyberpunk, and Threat Report and Rogues Gallery have a lot of the villains we've been talking about.
Nice. Yeah.
I have unrelated things to announce, but yeah.
Go for it.
I just wanted to tell everyone that given that this is the holiday caroling season, I just want everybody to know that Christmas Tree has the exact same cadence as Assless Chaps.
Oh, you've just opened a whole new world to me.
So rocking around the Assless Chaps. Have a happy holiday.
Right?
I was thinking assless chaps. Oh, assless chaps.
So was I,
right? Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's gonna really change up my Christmas. It's gonna be a very different one. A kind of different.
Go forth, Carol.
Go forth.
That's the same cadence as Jingle Bells too.
There we go.
So it does.
Assless chaps.
Sean Duggan, upcoming Danger Zone. I think you just heard it.
Right. Danger Zone assless chaps.
The holiday version. Yeah.
Do we have a Danger Zone leather
family
bar?
holiday.
We do. We don't. But we should.
We're waiting on some new maps to arrive, and then we will resume Danger Zones.
But you know what we will have is we will be releasing a we've got our you know what, Roll20 stuff is out. It is out, and it is we have got the Nether Wars #5, 3 made 1, and I believe, and if I click this other link, it's gonna tell me assless chaps. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's Nether War #4 and then 5. So Bound by Gold and 3 made 1, and those are released now on Roll20 for your.
That is the whole campaign.
Indeed.
That's the whole campaign. That is it. And we've got some other big campaign stuff coming up, but of course, everybody loves The Expanse RPG, and that's going to be a launch come here soon. But on December 1st, don't forget, it is our Christmas in December, and we're really giving people the business. But it'll be daily, giveaways, like I said, some free stuff. I went with a theme, if you can see.
All right, hear me out. Christmas in July, in December.
Ooh, I like the weather shift. I think that's nice. Yeah, I think
it's kind of like the turducken of holidays.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, need more of that. Need more assless chaps for a nice warm winter. What am I saying? What am I saying?
Not warm.
Oh,
I never said I was the hero of this story.
That is true. That is true. All right, friends. Hey, everybody! Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this hour. We are definitely back for. Oh shoot! We're definitely back for next Monday, which is the 6th of December. That's right. Yeah. That is correct. Right. That's what the calendar says. Yes. We'll be back with good stuff. This coming Thursday, we're going to be. We may bring in Malcolm is going to jump on and do some, talking about some modern age stuff for our Thursday.
Ask Malcolm about Cyberpunk from Modern Age.
Oh,
get some stuff in the works.
That's right. Nice. That's really great. Yeah. I think.
Corporate synergy.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to play Cyberpunk for Modern Age right now, pick up Modern Age and the Lazarus Sourcebook.
Hey, very nice. And if you want to get yourself a pair of chaps, go to the Gadget Guide, which you can buy at.
Are those in Spy Tech? I think
they might be. They might
could be Spy Tech. Could be Mecha.
Right.
Could be ancient weapons.
That's true. That is true. Very ancient weapons. Yeah.
God, claps.
Could be alien technology. Actually, I would check out all of them. Really.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Oh, heavy weapons. Duh. No, wait. Magic.
Now you just broke Troy.
Also, everybody, we're playing Nether War tonight over on Twitch. If you want to come hang out with us.
Sorry, Alex. This has gone off the rails. Crystal and Steve, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Not anymore.
I can't follow that.
So make sure you tune in to Alex tonight. You're going to be. What part of the Nether War are you?
We're in between books 4 and 5. We're going to an extra dimensional space to talk about magical crystals.
You're just at the assless part.
Just at the assless part of the chaps.
Nice. We gotta go. This is only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I am failing to breathe. Literally, I'm choking.
Yes. You will believe that a disembodied voice can lose the ability to breathe.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, listen, you three, a delight as always. A good belly laugh never hurt anybody except for me right now. I've got the cramp, but it has been a phenomenal program. And remember, if you have any questions, concerns, or you want to, maybe you've got something you'd like us to arbitrate for you. Maybe you've got some kind of a Mutants and Masterminds situation on your hands, send a note to let's play at let's play at greenronin.com, and we will probably, maybe almost, perhaps look at your question and give you an answer on this very program. Thanks for watching. You are all a true delight. Villains, every one of you. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, buddy.